All right, traders. In this video, what I'd like to do is walk you through how to create custom layouts inside the TickBlaze platform, but then teach you how to set your defaults, change your saved settings, and then show you how to export and then import so that you can move your workspaces and desktops from one computer to another. This will also be very, very important if you are instructed by our support team to perform a clean installation. Whenever you are told to either update the software or we release new versions of the software with either bug fixes or product enhancements and feature upgrades, it's always good practice to do a backup and export all of your saved functions. And then when you do the installation or when you move it to a new computer, you can perform an import and you can do a clean installation, okay? So there's gonna be a few things I'm gonna do. I normally like to start with one of our saved layouts so that we can show you how to save all the settings. And then I'm gonna walk you through step by step. So at any given time, just pause the video and I assure you it will make sense as we go through this example. So when you load TickBlaze on the first installation, you're always gonna be prompted to load either creating your own desktop, or you could go down here and you can select template and you could load one of the standard desktops. If you're using a strategy desktop, you would see that it would be strategy desktop, but for this example, I'm going to start with the standard desktop for discretionary trading, okay? And I've just named it standard desktop, and you can see here that I'm just gonna load this, okay? Now it's gonna basically pre-populate the default. For this example, the goal here is for us to change all these defaults and then save them. That's the whole purpose of exporting your save functions. So let's get into this and let's start building our own preferred layout. Now, normally what I'll do is I'd like to move my watch list down here. I'm going to change the way my colors look. You might like a black background, maybe you like a white background or a gray background, etc. One of the things that traders do is they customize their layouts to their own preference, which is the whole purpose of this video, is to help you save your work so that you don't have to keep redoing it every single time you want to move your layouts to a laptop or your other computer or do a clean installation, okay? So I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna turn off some functions, I'm gonna basically remove the data box and change all the grid lines so that I have a clean slate, okay? And I'm going to change the bar colors, right? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to maybe make the bars white going up, and let's take a look at this. And let's just change this like this. Okay, and let's just see how that looks. Okay, so I've got white and red. Now I'm going to change these to a blue. So let's go down here a little bit and let's just see here. Let's find a blue color and just like that. And this is really just for an example. You might not want these colors, right? You might want to use a different color, right? Maybe you don't like blue. Maybe you want red and green or purple and pink or orange and yellow, whatever it is your case, but I'm just going to show you this for an example, okay? And the next thing I'd like to do is I'm going to add an indicator. I normally like to trade with some indicators, and you might want to trade with some indicators. So what we'll do is we will set the save settings, and we're going to go in and we're going to find, maybe you want to find money flow index for this example. Let's go in and find it. And let's say I want to change the colors to this a little bit. You know, this is one of the things you'll do is you'll add indicators to the chart, right? And maybe you want to go in and you want to change your levels. So let's change this to a red. Let's find red in here. And whenever you do this across the board for all of your indicators, I'm just going to do it for one for this example, but you know, maybe you're going to do it for many. You're going to save defaults and custom parameters. You're going to set your parameters. Maybe I want to change this to a 9, and then I want to change this to a white, so that the goal is to create your own layout. Now you can see I've changed it, right? The goal is to set as a default. And what that means is whenever I add that indicator back on my chart, it'll always load the pre-built settings. So I'll set it as a default and hit OK, okay? And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change some of my custom draw tools. So I use different draw tools for trading, right? And one of them is, you know, an anchored VWAP. The other one is going to be maybe a horizontal line and then a rectangle. So we'll do that here and we'll show you how that works. Let's start with the horizontal line, right? You can see, you know, that may not be what you want it to be. Maybe I want to change it to a yellow. right? So we can come in here and find a yellow. There we go. And maybe you want to increase it and put it as a dash, right? So there it is. Maybe you prefer to do it like this. So then I would go in and I would set it as a default so that every time I apply that to my chart, right? If I come in here and do that, there it is. You can see that there, right? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do that for the rectangle, right? It's a lot of people like to draw boxes and they like to draw support and resistance, etc., like this. Well, maybe I don't want my my zone to be purple. I come in here and I change it to maybe a white smoke, right? Or you can like that and maybe make it a little bit, put the border around there as well, and change it to a dash. And there it is. Maybe that's what you'd like, and then I'll set it as a default, okay? And you know, that's a great example of, you know, how to set some defaults for your draw tools and how to set some defaults for your indicators. And one of the things that most people will do is they will change their favorites. So a lot of times you'll come in here into your favorites, and let's click on favorites for a second. I'm going to go down this list and remove the things that I don't use, right? Because if I'm not using a bunch of these things, you know, it may not make sense for me to keep them in here. You know, if you are using all of these, like if you prefer to keep the defaults, most people will. These are pretty standard defaults in here, but maybe you're not using the pitchfork, or maybe you're not using the ray, right? So let's go into the drawings and let's go find pitchfork for a second. Maybe you don't use this one, you delete it. Maybe you don't like the pitchfork, you delete it. Maybe you don't use the ruler a lot, right? And you don't use the text a lot, right? These would be examples. And you can see here, it's less, right? I don't have it in my drop-down list anymore. I don't have it in my favorites list anymore. It's become more personalized for me, right? One thing I forgot to mention is I'm going to add the anchored VWAP in here. I know that I like to use that, and we're going to grab that and we're going to change that a little bit bigger. Do cyan, and just like that. And I'm going to make it a set as a default. Okay, perfect. So, you know, these are pretty standard tools that a lot of traders are very comfortable using. And normally what will end up happening when you are ultimately using your custom settings, you'll ultimately want to save a default chart template. Let's go in here and there it is. So we're going to save a chart template, and what that means is you're going to right click and you're going to save a template, right? And saving a template basically is looking at your bar types and all the different things that your colors, your black background, you know, all of your settings in here. So I'll save a template and I'll just call it black demo, BLK demo. Okay, just like that. Okay, and one of the other things too is you'll probably come up here and you'll go into the options menu. You'll most likely change some of your defaults in here. You maybe like different colors. Maybe you're not using the dark skin, you're using a different skin. I'm using the dark skin, but this is the entire platform's color. So a lot of times you'll change that to a gray or a light or a blue. And then a lot of times traders will sync their broker positions so that when you're trading with either a live brokerage account, or if you're trading for a prop firm, your orders will be synced between the platforms. These are just little things that most traders are going to be editing as they go through editing the platform. Okay, now one of the things that I know that I always do is by default we load all of the bar types in here. We want to give you that flexibility that has all the different types of time frames and bar types, but you may not be using Heiken Ashi or maybe some of these tools, and you might only look at minute and range and so forth. So one of the things you can do is you can go into the bar type favorites, and you can start, you know, clicking all the things that you don't like, right? And like if you don't use the ticks or the seconds, right? Let's go in here. Maybe I keep the 10 and the 20 and you know, those. Maybe you're not using the 2, the 3, the 4, but you're using the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, and you're using the 30 and the 60, right? And you can go down and highlight all the ones you want, and you know, 1 week you don't need all these if you don't want to use them. So I like to highlight them and get rid of the ones I don't use. The reason for this is it'll really clean up the menu. So take a look here. I'm going to leave the range because I do look at range. I'm not looking really much at Renko right now, and the volume I will, so that you can delete them. And what'll happen is you'll see that this just cleaned up drastically. All my favorites are what I like to look at, right? Now the indicators are ultimately pre-built like this. You may want to add favorites, and I'm not going to change this because I get pretty used to having that there. It's nice. It's a nice feature of the platform. But more importantly, you're going to have all these changes, right? You're going to save these. I think one of the things that a lot of people will do is they will add a dome if you like trading on the dome, right? And we'll put that in here. Okay, you might want to add a time and sales, if this is how you like to trade. And then what ends up happening, you might want to change the templates, right? So you might want to load the default red and blue, and so that way it looks like this. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm trying to build a custom layout like this with all these different save settings and all these different features that have been saved by us now in this example. I'll go in here and I will save this workspace. I'm going to save the workspace as a demo workspace, saved settings, right? And I'm going to save it. Now, why is that important? Because what's going to happen is if I wanted to load the workspace, I could come in here and I could load the workspace. I could find it. Okay. It's going to pull that up. Okay. And if you want to save the settings here, you can come in here and you can load that from theme template like this. And you'll notice everything else is here. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to mention is that the reason I'm doing this is when I go to import this on another computer, right? I don't want to have to redo all my work, right? I don't want to have to resave everything. I don't want to have to go through and change all my colors. And so normally what we do, right? I'm going to delete this for a second. We're just going to go back to the other one for this example is let's say you want to get rid of this one as well. I'm going to show you. Can't delete the last workspace. So I'm going to load this. I'm going to close it. Okay. And we're going to load the workspace that we just built. And then we're going to export it. We're going to save it. And we're going to export it. Okay. And I think sometimes when you load the default, it caches back to the normal. I think it's just because it's the default layout. But nonetheless, you can easily just load the template. Or if you change your own colors, you can change your own colors. Now, when we come in here, right, first I'm going to save this. So we're going to save the workspace. Okay, we're going to save it, make sure it's saved. Overwrite existing, yes. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to save my desktop. Okay, and I automatically save the desktop. It automatically just saves by clicking Save Desktop. You can also go Control S on your keyboard all the time and you can save it. Okay, and the goal here now is to remember the purpose of saving everything. I mean, if you're going to go and you're going to, draw on a chart later, or let's say you want to go down to, you want to look at the NASDAQ. Okay, and let's say you want to change your time frame down to a 5-minute chart, right? We've just created all of the colors so that you can ultimately come in here and you can draw, right? There it is. And we've done all the work to save all the settings, right? Let's say I want to draw here and I want to draw there, whatever it is you're doing on your charts to trade. What ends up happening is when I go to export this now, I want to make sure that everything saves. I want to make sure that my layout save and my colors save and all the stuff that's important. And the way that we do this, okay, is we do an export. So whenever you want to go from your main computer to, I guess you would say a laptop or another home computer, or maybe you have hardware issues and you're buying a new computer and you don't want to have to redo everything. Or let's say we update the builds in the download section and we've added new features or we fix some bugs, whatever the case may be, you can basically come in here and you can export this to your computer. And this is a really user-friendly environment for us to go through and choose all the things that we've just done. Now, a lot of times people may do their connections. I don't have any additional connections done. So let's say you've added a couple data connections or you've added a couple broker connections. For security purposes, we cannot export passwords, but we can export usernames. So that's just from a regulatory perspective. So if you did add a couple connections in here, you would see those in the export function. So that way you're not having to always load all your your broker, your data connections here, right? You have a data connection, you have a broker connection. The point is that if you have a bunch that you've set up already, you'll just need to re-import the passwords on the new computer. That's for compliance purposes. Now, we just went through and we did a chart template. Okay, we have a theme template that is saved. One of the things I want to mention here is that when you create trade management templates, let's go in here and actually create a trade management template. Maybe you want to do a 10 tick stop and target, and you want to do you want to do an all in all out scenario at a 1-to-1, right? And this is a 0. Okay, and let's say I want to save this to demo 1-to-1 RR, right? Just for an example. Okay, so let's say I save that, right? All of the watch list templates are theme templates. All of the table settings inside of the widgets are always theme templates. All of the DOM settings are always going to be a theme template, okay? But the trade management strategies are actually script templates. So when we come in here and we go to export, the theme template will not include your trade management strategies. The theme template will be included in the script templates, which we'll get to in just a second, okay? But I just want to make note of that because a lot of times people think that it's also a theme template, and it's not. It's a script template because trade managements are actually scripts. So when we come down in here, I'm going to just show you. I'm not going to export a broker connection because I'm using the defaults. I am going to export my chart templates because take a look, I have my black demo. Now I'm not going to export the entire chart template because these are defaults that came with the platform. I'm just going to export my custom because that's the one that I just built, right? And then I'm going to come down. I'm not exporting data connections. I'm going to find my desktop, right? And you can hold down the control key and you can just highlight what you want. It's very standard. When you hold the control function, you just click and click. It's very custom to see that. Let's say I want to go to theme template, right? And I didn't build a custom right now, right? So if I want to import the systems are always going to be these. So there's no need for me to export these. These come with the platform, okay? And ultimately my workspace, absolutely I need to do this, right? I did a custom workspace. There's my workspace, okay? So these are what we just built, right? We did a workspace, we did a desktop, we did a chart template. I also want to make sure that I'm including my transaction log because my transaction log is all my trades. If I want to export my trade data, if you've taken a bunch of trades or if you've taken, in a simulator and you're practicing and you're building a track record, getting ready to go live, if you go and you export and you don't export your trading logs, well, you're not going to see any of those trades on your new computer, right? So this is very important. If you don't need the trade log, you don't have to include that, okay? Now this is very, very important down here because these are all of the save functions we did for indicators and bar types. So if I want to save all of my defaults, okay, and I'm going to just click that. My bar type favorites, remember we did the drop down list up here and we wanted to change the bar types for minutes and ticks and seconds and days and weeks. You want to select that. This is, remember what I just said about the TMS strategies, you want to select that. And then ultimately if you've changed your skin colors or if you've added broker sync connections, this is important here as well. So the reason I'm doing this is a backup. This is a complete backup of all the different things that I've just saved on my computer. And I do this because it's really important that you go through the different resources and you back up what you want. There's no need to back up what you don't want, and you can hit export. Okay, so I'm going to hit export, and what it's going to do is it's going to bring me, to a TickBlaze backup. It's going to create a zip. I'm going to put the date on it. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to save that for when I go to show you a clean installation, because the whole point of this video is to explain when you would need to do the import, right? Now, before we do this, I want to show you a very streamlined path to exporting everything without selecting. So we just did a selective export. What that means is you export all the things that you want to choose to export. But in the event you just want to export everything, and you just want to do a master backup very fast, and you don't want to go through all the different resources, and you just want to back up the entire gambit of TickBlaze on your computer, you just got to click export resources. It's going to export everything. It's going to export all the things that you've saved and everything that we've built and everything that you've got in here. You could select include transaction log and just check these, right? And you could hit export. Okay, and what it's going to do is it's going to, and then what you can do is you can rename it and you can just say full, right? It's a full backup. Just like this, right? So I know that the one that I did here is my selective backup. And then I know that the one here, I can do this and that's my full backup, right? So the point is that you can do it as you wish, or you can just do an override and back up the whole computer. A lot of times when our support teams will log on and do a remote installation, they will just back up your whole computer just to save everything, to make sure you don't lose anything, okay? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to close TickBlaze down, okay? And this is where we ultimately get to show you where this really comes to formation, okay? When you are installing TickBlaze on your computer, okay, for the very first time, you never have to assume you need to do a clean installation. If you've truly never installed one instance of TickBlaze on your computer, that would be considered a brand new install, which means you've never saved any files, you have nothing in the resources of your backend on the PC, which is great. Then you don't need to do a clean installation. You can just run the installer and then you could load TickBlaze and then you can do an import, okay? If you've ever installed TickBlaze on your computer once before in the past, maybe it's last week, maybe it's last month, maybe it's last year, depending on the time of watching this video. We normally like to instruct traders to do what we call a clean installation, okay? And before you click to download the installer, you're going to install this on your computer first, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to download the installer on your computer from the website. You're going to click and download it to maybe your My Downloads folder, or you're going to download it to maybe your documents or your desktop. But before you run the installer, what we encourage traders to do is it's called a clean installation. And what you need to do is you need to remove TickBlaze from your computer, and I'm going to walk you through that here. So normally what you do, and if you're in My Documents, you just go up here and you type in percentage app data percentage and hit enter. And it's going to bring you to your app data folder, right? And then you have a roaming folder. You got to click on roaming and then find the TickBlaze 2 folder and delete it. And normally what I like to do is I like to right click on the roaming and just pin it to a quick access, because that way you don't have to type in the search field every single time, because that can be, sometimes people may forget what to type, and so it's much. You'll notice here I have it saved under my quick access folder. Just good to know where to get those folders. Now that I've done that, I can run the new installer for TickBlaze, right? I can actually install the version of TickBlaze, whatever version you're installing. So I'm gonna run this installer, and then that's gonna basically reinstall TickBlaze on my computer, okay? And when you do this, you're not going to have anything on your computer. Nothing's gonna be saved. There's not going to be any defaults, no colors, no chart templates, nothing, because we've deleted those folders. We've deleted all the databases on your computer, which means no historical data has been saved on your computer. We've deleted all your references, all your chart templates. The purpose of a clean install is to start from scratch. And the purpose of us backing up the software is so that you ultimately always can install everything from your prior versions, right? And so what we'll do is I'm going to hit finish, okay? And then that'll basically prompt a login. Now I'm going to import my details here. I'm going to pause the video. Just give me 1 second. And once you've added your email and your password, you can hit login. Remember to hit remember me. That way you keep access to your computer. Make sure you save it. And you're going to notice here that this is the prompt for ultimately a brand new install, right? So if I just do this and I hit OK, right? I'm now basically in a brand new instance of TickBlaze. I don't have any saved settings. I don't have any chart templates. I have nothing. So if I load a brand new chart, it's going to look exactly like the default. But the purpose of this is that, you've already done a clean install, right? This is the point of all this. We can close this, okay? And now we can say, okay, I want to load my workspaces from before. And that's the whole point of what we've done, is we've backed everything up. Now I'm going to show you how to do an import. I'm going to show you how to import the files that we did. And all you have to do is click on Tools, go to Import, before it was an export, and we're going to go and find those files. Now, if you wanted to find the selective import that you built, remember we selected only the ones that you backed up. You could do the full if you choose, but I'm going to do the selective. I'm going to import. Okay, and there's all my files, right? And you're going to have a few other stuff in here that's part of the default import function that we do automatically. And we hit import. Okay, and it says the package resources which were not already on your computer have been imported successfully. Okay, so now watch what happens. If I go in here and I find the desktop, you can see there was my desktop, my standard desktop, right? That was what I saved. So if I go to open desktop, if I click on custom, you're going to see there was the TickBlaze backup. That was the backup that I installed, right? So if I install that desktop, okay, it will install my desktop. If I want to go in here and add a workspace, I right click, I go to load my workspace. You can see I come in here to custom, there's my backup folder, there's my workspace. So let's do that, right? If I want to just load the workspace, I can. Let's start with the desktop first. Let's load the desktop. Let's go to desktops and go to open desktop. Let's go find custom. There it is. So we're going to load the desktop that I had before. And you're going to see here that everything is there, right? You're going to see that my settings are there. I have my my chart, my colors, right? All my colors are saved here as well. Okay, which is great, right? I have everything. Now, remember, we ultimately save the drawing tools as well. So if I click on here, and you're going to see that I'm going to, add my drawings. Let's go here in horizontal line. There it is. Okay, if I want to draw my box, there it is. Fantastic. If I click on here, take a look, all my drop-down favorites saved as is. And it just allows me to be able to have exactly what I had built before, right? Which is a really very comfortable feeling that I don't need to redo everything. I do a clean installation. The clean installation is to make sure that we can ensure that you install things on your computer and you can transfer things from one computer to another. And it saves tons of time, right? Like, yes, this video may have been a bit long to teach you what to do, but I promise you it's a lot faster than spending hours every single time you want to do a new installation or move your resources from one computer to a next, okay? Another example would be if I wanted to load my workspace, right? We loaded that workspace. I could load it. I find it. I go here to custom. I open up my workspace. And there's my workspace. And sometimes you'll find that the default themes, the reason you don't see this loading here like this is because it was a default template. I didn't create a new template. So whenever it's the default template, a lot of times you might have to just come in here, just go load the default template back because it's the default that was saved on the platform. If I went and changed all my own colors in here, it would load like that because it would have been a custom setting that I saved, right? But I like the colors of the default, so I don't normally create a new template for the dome, right? But this is a great example of how you can save your workspaces, save your desktops, save your bar types, save your drawing tools, save your indicator settings, right? If I want to go in here and add the MFI back on my chart, right? There it is, right? The same settings, the same everything that we set before, right? So very, very important video. I hope that this was informative for you. Remember, when you do a clean installation, you're going to need to follow some steps. So just make sure you take a picture of the clean installation steps. And if you ever have any questions, our support team is trained on this to teach you how to do this. And their goal is to make this a seamless process for you. If you ever need any assistance, or if you figure out you didn't back up your files properly, or if you want help learning how to do this, I promise you our team will spend the time to help you do this, because it will be the dividing factor of a very smooth process for you moving things from computer to computer or doing backups. Okay? So traders, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the charts.